Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anyone who's joining from all across the globe. We're very excited to have you here. Thank you for joining another SmartSuite webinar. This one is going to be a fun one as we have Mohamed, who is a SmartSuite partner. Mohamed works with companies to implement no-code products such as SmartSuite. Mohamed is also a leader in the SmartSuite community and the Zapier community as well. And so Mohamed has extraordinary knowledge when it comes to automations, integrations, and implementing no-code products. And so we're very excited to have Mohamed present a little bit about, I believe, internal processes of how Mohamed is using SmartSuite within his company, along with automations and linked records and all sorts of fun functionality. And as you go through, take notes, because I can tell you, I've seen only a sneak peek, but it is amazing stuff what Mohamed has done. Saves countless hours. And post-webinar, if you have any needs for projects, you want a consultant to help implement, Mohamed can share more about his services and the company he's building. And so without further ado, Mohamed, I'm going to turn over to you if you want to give a quick introduction about yourself and your company and dive right into the webinar.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Avi, for this amazing introduction. So my name is Mohamed Swellam. I am CEO of GeekyAir. I've been working with the no-code, low-code workspace for the past 2 years. That's not a very big time, although in this small time, I can say that I built myself quite the reputation. I have been working with SmartSuite for a few months now. And I came across SmartSuite when I was actually starting GeekyAir, which is, for me, it was an amazing thing because I was looking for some way to start the hiring process. As you can, when you're hiring for a new company, you're getting like numerous applications, and you cannot just use any tool or like a spreadsheet or something, which I think most companies are currently doing if they're not familiar with the solutions that SmartSuite can provide them. This can become like very tiresome, you know. What I came up with was a very simple solution. So most of my hiring was coming through my website, which is GeekyAir.com. What I did is I just implemented a very simple SmartSuite form. I just embedded it into my careers page. And then of course, as any data that is being filled from the form just comes into your SmartSuite very easily. Not only that, so with the amazing automations that SmartSuite has, I had multiple hiring managers, and each hiring manager is responsible for a certain position that we are trying to fill. So we have front-end engineers, back-end engineers, mobile app developers, and full-stack developers. With the amount of forms that we got, 246 records, as you can see here, and I was just a one-person company at the time, including my hiring managers. So using this very simple form, let's actually try it out. Applying to email, phone number, profile, GitHub.com, just a couple of questions about their experience and whatever they want to add. They added also the city of residence, experience, submit. Very simple form. Using this in just a matter of a minute, you just receive it in your, not even a minute, a second, you just receive it in your SmartSuite. So, as you can see here, because I applied as a front-end engineer, I got assigned to Rana, who is the hiring manager responsible for interviewing front-end engineers, using a very simple automation right here that just assigns the record once it's created, and with the condition of a front end, and it just assigns it to Rana. Rana then just receives a notification right here, and she contacts this person, and now we start our pipeline. So once they made this contact, she would then mark them as interviewed soft skills, just to make sure that, well, he's an applicant that we want to move forward with. As you can see, using another very simple automation, the contact got assigned to me so that I can take them to the next level. Of course, this is a technical position, so we need to have a technical assessment for this position. Maybe any of you are familiar with HackerRank, which is a website that provides technical assessment for developers. We already had our HackerRank done. And so, using another very simple automation, once the candidate is interviewed, I can just click on yes, invite them to the technical interview. They would receive an email with the HackerRank link. And as you can see, the link is dynamic so that it is depending on which position they are applying to. And then it would update to that this candidate is invited to a technical interview, which is really very simple. Just click on yes, and it would just send him the invite. So once they get the invite and they finish their technical assessment, it would be very easy for us to just come back here and upload their technical assessment. And then we can very easily go through, as you can see here, the status changed to invited to technical assessment. We can very easily see that, and you can imagine we went through 146 applicants in under 2 weeks, including their technical assessment, including their soft skills interviews, including their final interviews, which I don't think that any other application would have been able to help us to do that, and with such ease. Another thing that I would want to show you is how SmartSuite permissions and field views, for example, that I can edit the field permission so that anyone, for example, can view it, and anyone can edit it. But for example, for something like this person's email, for example, nobody should be able to change their email. So I just set it as who can edit this field? Nobody. My team has access to it. Of course, I do trust my team. A simple backspace or a simple space would just mess up the data, and we don't want that to happen. So I just close the permission, and some other fields like the salary, for example, which is not something that I would want anyone to see, is also hidden from display, as you can see here, of course. And even with full access to SmartSuite, I just put them as that nobody can check it, nobody can edit it, which is really beautiful. I can see here, as you can see here, I got the email invitation to the technical interview, which is really easy and really quick. So this has saved me countless hours, really. Imagine going through 146 interviews without this. I'm sure if anybody from the human resources is watching this, they was, oh, that's something that I would do in 3 or 4 months. The beautiful thing about this system is how long it took me to build it. So using SmartSuite, I built this system in under 2 hours. That's not something, it's not an off-the-shelf product that you have to pay, I don't know, thousands to have. It's just a very simple system with just a very few automation and someone with very little technical background can actually do it in a matter of minutes. And not only this, so let's say that you don't want to build something from scratch. As John was saying, if you go to the template, so if you just click here on new solution and you go to the templates and you just check human resources, you would have, well, results just like clicking human resources. You can see employee onboarding, offboarding, employee directory, hiring, which is a template on its own. So if I did some little research and I looked through here, I would have already seen that they have templates instead of me having to build it from scratch. And yeah, that is amazing. That would have been amazing. And of course, I would then have to just add my very simple automations that I currently have. And it would have taken me even less than the couple of hours I'm talking about. I wonder if you have any questions for me, Avi? Anything else
Mohammed.
you?
Yep, sorry. That was incredible, Mohammed. Really super high level, and it's phenomenal to see the system that you built. Like you said, saved you countless hours, took you about 2 hours to build. Lots to unpack here. I'm going to ask the audience if anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw it in the Q&A. If there's any areas you want Mohammed to dive in a little bit more to the back end to unpack, if you have specific questions, if you put them in the Q&A versus the chat, we'll be able to address those lives. But as we're waiting for folks to tell us what specifically they want to focus on, I'd love to just, if I may, just take you, Mohammed, into help us unpack a little bit of the back end of what you built over here. So you started out with the forms.
Yes.
Which, are you able to maybe show us how you created the form? I'll just point out, I saw you using 3 unique features in the forms that you showed on the website. First of all, you're embedding the form on your website. Is that correct? So you're embedding a SmartSuite form on your website. So that's your website, a SmartSuite form living there. You made auto fields required within the form, as well as you used specific unique field types to narrow down the types of responses and data validate, so that in the LinkedIn profile, you had to actually put in a URL that matches a LinkedIn profile, and the email.
Because if I do like this, it's gonna, no, sorry, it's a required field. You cannot do it.
Yep. So maybe if you're able to just dive into the form view in SmartSuite and show us how you built that form and what you would do if you wanted to change any of those field types.
Of course. So actually, I might be able to show you something even, well, now that I think about it more often, about how you can use forms and how when you embed it on your website, it's like absolutely easy to change. Okay, so I don't have any web development experience. Just FYI, I'm not a web developer. I don't know how to build websites except with like drag and drop, you know? So my website is on like Bluehost, like drag and drop. It's really easy. All I had to do is add an HTML like iframe and just copy this code into my website, and it worked without anything. The other thing is here, you can see all the fields that I have in my, that I am able to like drag and drop very easily into the form. And you just said something, Avi. So for example, something like the email, this is an email field. If anybody tries to put like a phone number here, it's not gonna work. And you can very easily just change the form in here. If I just drag it like this, so I just made the phone number is not required, and I drag the email below the phone number. Okay, if you check here, the email is on top of the phone number. If I just refresh, in just a matter of a minute or so, it's gonna update on my web. It just, the phone number is now not required, the email is required, and it's below the phone number. So even with, I didn't even need to go back to my like web host or whatever it's called. I just did it inside my SmartSuite, and in a matter of a second, it changed the form that I have on my website, which is actually great. So the process of doing the form, not just for my self, but this is how I do it for any other client, I just start by building a very simple table, just with the full name, email, city, and job applying to. And then I just come here, create new view, form, and I can just call it new job post, for example, create view. As you can see, this is not a live form. It's currently not being shared. Okay, I can edit the logo to add my logo if I want to, although I'm proud to have SmartSuite logo on my website. So I can just drag and drop very easily. Full name, I just want it here. Okay, sorry, I did it on the bottom. I'll just put it here. And then I can just see whatever fields I'm looking for here. Phone number. Okay, and it's very easy. I can change the title. So I can put a title for now. And then very easily, I would copy the link and I would embed it into my website backend. Okay, now let's say that I no longer am hiring for this job. I just disable it. Just a click of a button without me having to go through anything. Just very easy, just very easy. And of course, you have the settings where you can display whatever message you want, or you can redirect them to any that you are thinking of. So it's really a matter of convenience, how easy it is to have such a robust system, and you can just do it with zero knowledge of databases or CRMs or hiring software or whatever you want to call it. And of course, let's say you don't have a website or you don't want someone to go to your website. You can just take this link and share it on your social media. This is how I actually did hiring at first before I started using the LinkedIn jobs or whatever. I was just copying this link, posting it onto my social media. Hey, I'm looking for a web developer. I'm looking for an assistant. Can you please fill this form? And then I just keep getting responses into here. And all I have to do is just check my notifications center for any new assignments. It's pretty easy. It's very easy.
Very cool. Thank you, Mohamed. So essentially you're saying you create, I guess you create a SmartSuite app within a SmartSuite solution. You build out the field types, then you switch views from a grid view or whatever view you're building it out into a form view. And then that form view becomes public. You can share it as a standalone form, or you can embed it on the website like you were showing very easily. Anyone who fills out that form has to obey by the required fields and the field types that you set up based on if it's a dropdown, a selector, a URL, an email, and every response that comes, no matter where it's filled out, the responses create a new record, which you can then start moving through workflows and automations as you were showing.
Yes.
We have a few questions coming in over here. So question number one coming in from David. He's asking, Mohamed, did you design this offline? Example, sketch out your ideas and then create it in SmartSuite, or did you just build it in SmartSuite? And so essentially he's asking best practices. Should you be sketching things out offline and then coming in and doing it in SmartSuite, or do you just play around in SmartSuite and figure it out as you go?
Usually, if you have a process already, you would better sketch it somewhere, a mind map type of thing, and then start building it so that you can know the different relations, the linked records, which set of data is going to go to which table, because as the best practice is to not duplicate any data that you have into multiple apps. You should always have a single set of data, and it should always be in just one app instead of having the same data between different apps.
Okay, super helpful. Thank you. Vaskin is asking, question for Mohamed. What other views do you have? Do you see candidates grouped by status and Kanban or table view?
Thank you, Vaskin, for joining. And yes, of course, I was actually just about to show you that. So another view that I have is for the employees, because those candidates turned into employees. So now their status becomes employed. And then I have another view called employees, where I have certain filters where the status is employed, and date is empty, and start date is not empty. Doesn't really matter. And then I just group them by position, front end, back end, or full stack. I do have a couple of content creators. I do have a business manager. So yeah, of course, this is now super helpful to when like a client asks me, so how many front end developers do you have? Okay, I just opened this view. Okay, I do have 11. The number's just there. It's really easy to check. How many back end developers do you have? I do have 4. What are they specialized in? You can see right here, whatever they can work with. I also do have here a cover letter for them, as you can see here, so that when we are applying for a certain job and a client asks for a cover letter, I have a cover letter for this specific person. This view is very helpful. I also have another view for new applicants. At some point, I do a new ad for a job, and I just filter by date. Of course, this filter is not correct. Filter is really easy. It's created and is before exact date, and I just set this date, for example, this after, whatever. So it's really easy, of course, to manipulate the view. And since we're talking about views, I would actually like to see my employees' salaries. I hope none of my employees are here to see this at the moment. But yeah, so here I can see the salaries very easily. And yeah, it's just a very simple filter, and I can choose whichever field I want to see. I don't need to see the email. I don't need to see the status, but I know they are employees. And I just want to see the salary, for example. But yeah, thank you for your question, Basti.
Yeah, Mohammed, that's very cool. So I guess essentially you're saying you're moving this into from, I guess, the intake and hiring and interviewing process into actually the day-to-day management of your employees and the day-to-day management of just kind of understanding budgets. You were tracking how many I saw over there, how much employees got paid this month. I'm assuming you can summarize that, track budgets, create dashboards. That's super cool.
Yeah, also, as you can see right here, but this part I'm still actually building out. So right here, we are importing data from Upwork, if anybody is familiar with Upwork, and we are linking it to our employees so that I know which employee worked on which project and how much the project was worth. Was it a fixed price project? Was it a hourly project? And yeah, of course, how much percentage, how much, who was the business manager responsible for this project? Yeah, I'm tracking all of that into this very, very simple solution.
That's very interesting. So I guess you're saying you're importing jobs that you're receiving on Upwork into SmartSuite,
Yes.
tracking the budgets and how much you got paid and who you assign that job to your employees. So you can actually track margins, profitability. How are you bringing the jobs
timeline
from? What's that?
The timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how are you bringing in the Upwork jobs in? Are you using Zapier for that?
No, actually, I'm using your CSV importer.
Got it. So I guess on a scheduled time once a week, you just import a CSV from Upwork. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Wow.
At some point, I do want to use Zapier to automate that. I'm just 2 months old.
I always say, first figure out your processes manually and then automate. Probably best practices. So love it.
You have to know what's working for you first, you know.
Exactly. Very cool. Okay, next question. We have a question from Rudy. Is it possible to do a job board with SmartSuite? I have seen some people do this with Notion. I think they're probably talking about an external job board, maybe with a shared grid view.
Of course, or like a Kanban view, maybe. Yeah, of course. If we're talking about like the grid view, if you have, let's say that instead of this data being employees, this is actually like different jobs that you want to advertise or something, I would use the shared link and I would use the magic of embedding this view into any other share all view, all data to be exported, display toolbar, allow viewers to open records. You can even restrict it with a password. It's not available. I'm not sure why it's giving me this error at the moment. I haven't shared view. Oh, okay. Stupid me. I did not turn it on. Sorry about that.
Gotta turn it on.
Yeah, if I just sent you the link right now, Rudy, you would be able to see all of my data
So essentially that
very easily.
Yeah. So essentially, sorry, Mohamed, essentially that's basically a public link that you can post anywhere, and whoever has that link, or maybe if you restrict it with a password, they have to have the password. Otherwise, it's open to everyone. They can see all the data and it's dynamically updated. So if you have a filter on that view,
Yes.
only whatever fits in the filter goes into the public view, the rest stays private. So you can basically turn jobs on and off instead of having to create new records.
Group them if I want to. So as a viewer, if I want to find something, or like what I just did right now, I just turned it off because I don't want anybody to access it anymore. So anybody who's trying to access it is going to get restricted like immediately. And yeah, it's pretty convenient. Actually, it's pretty easy to use. One thing I do love about is that there is actually a find feature that you can actually do search here. You can use a filter as a user. So if you want to filter for certain name, for example, so Mohamed Swellam, you would see my records right here. It would be very easy to, yeah, of course, anybody can very easily use it. I hope this answers your questions, Rudy.
Thank you, Mohamed. Super cool. I love it. I love using shared grid view. Rudy has a follow-up question for you, Mohamed. There's a column about skills. Can you use that filter to filter out candidates for a specific job that requires specific skills?
Yeah, of course, definitely. So if let's say I am using another private grid view and I am looking for candidates here at filter very easily, has any of CSS, HTML, MySQL, whatever. Yeah, of course. Let's say I want only candidates with HTML experience. So I have 45 candidates with HTML experience. If I want, so one of the things that I do love is that you actually have so if you go to the filter, you actually, like any other app, you have to search for the field that you want to filter with, which in this case is, I'm not a big fan of using the filter from here. I just love to use it from the field itself. And let's say has any of, and we would say here Python. Okay, so I have 11 candidates that can use Python. Let's say I want Python and MySQL. Okay, so I would use another filter and has any of MySQL. That narrows them down to 8. I can very easily do the same thing in the shared grid view. So let's say that I am a job seeker and I'm looking for, let's say that those are different jobs, and I'm looking for something that fits into that set of skills, and I can only do HTML. So it would only show me stuff with HTML, or I can only do REST, for example, REST API. Okay, so those 5 jobs are actually within my qualifications. I hope this answers your questions, Rudy.
Super cool, Mohammed. So I guess you're saying you can use filters to find specific information, but then you can even stack filters one on top of the other. And you can reach the filter from the toolbar up top, or from, you're saying, I like that tip. I always use it from the filter, but then I have to search for my exact field type that I use. You're saying
Yeah.
field type. I like that.
Just from the field itself. That's, for me, that's always, because when you want a filter, you are usually in the field that you want to filter. You never think about the filter if you don't see the field that you want to filter.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Okay, another question from Vaskin, another question from Mohammed. Do the candidates receive an automated email in case of not being selected, or any plans of expanding this?
Currently, I did not do that because I'm currently expanding. So I did not do a part, but it was done by the hiring managers themselves through like normal communication. But no, the only automated email they received was for the technical assessment.
Got it. And Mohammed, are you, when you're sending out those emails through SmartSuite automations, maybe if you can pull up that automation, are you using SmartSuite's email system to send those
Yes, I
emails,
am.
or are you authenticating your own email address?
No, I was using SmartSuite's own email. It was just convenient.
Yeah, and let's take a quick look at that email. You're pulling in specific dynamically changing data into that email. And so it automatically knows the candidate's name based on their record.
Which job? Yeah, based on the job, and it's even pulling the link to hacker based on the job they are applying to. So it's actually a 1 second thing to do. So it's just that name. You click on this small plus sign on the top right corner. You choose the field. You put a comma or whatever you want, however you want to use your email. Okay, and I was using just simple markdown. Thank you for attending the interview. We would like to invite you for our, and then based on the job, here, job applying to. So it's a back end, it's front end, it's a full stack technical assessment. Please follow the below link to start the assessment. Here you go. Best of luck, and then my signature. It's really cool. It's really easy. Yeah.
Very cool. And I see another question coming in from Rudy. He's asking, will Mohammed's solution be available as a template? And so obviously Mohammed showed the classic templates that we have within SmartSuite, but anyone is welcome to reach out to Mohammed, and Mohammed actually provides SmartSuite services. I'm sure he'll be glad to build out a similar template for you.
And there is already the hiring template here. I can see it. Of course, you can start off from there and build on top of it. So for some people, this is easier. For some people, this is harder. For someone like me, it's a little bit harder to, okay, no, I'll just start from scratch. I'm a start from scratch type of guy. Why you have to start from scratch, that's for me.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually, Mohammed, I'm like you. I'm a start from scratch type of guy, but it happens to be this week I was setting up a template to track event attendees because we're hosting a partner get together in New York City. In first thought, I was like, hey, I'm a build it myself type of guy. I'm just going to start from scratch. And then I went into the template center and I was like, you know what? Instead of me adding all the field types, maybe there's something. And sure enough, I found a great template. And I was just like, this just saved me 10 minutes. I'm going to download it. You'd be surprised what you find in the template center. Some of them are really.
I'm sure. Yeah. So something like that, like now that I look at it, okay, so that would have made, that's exactly what I built. That's exactly what I built. I mean, awesome. You know, I just had to add a form, create view. Okay, everything is there. I'll just put this here, put this there. It would have saved me an hour out of the 2 hours that, of course, the cool thing about templates is whoever started doing the template had everything in his mind while doing the template. Somehow, some field you wouldn't know that you need, you would be like, oh, okay, so that's a good field to have, actually, something like this. So for example, I didn't have my positions as link records. Now I think about it, maybe it was a good idea to have it as a link record. Maybe I would have actually added a roll-up field to just count how many applicants actually submitted the form, for example. There's numerous things that you can do with that, but yeah, of course, I would be happy to help anybody who's looking for a solution on SmartSuite. It's always my pleasure. Of course, reach out anytime, but I would definitely start with the template.
Awesome. Super cool. And as we're closing this out, folks, if you have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A. I will share that SmartSuite has recently started on adding a few more features to forms, quite exciting features. And so we are working on conditional logic and sections in form. And so that means that based on the response that a user fills out in one form, the next question on that form may be displayed or not displayed. We're also working on pre-filled values in specific forms, which will make life a lot easier with forms and a lot more advanced.
Yeah, I have one feature that I'd like to just maybe have Mohamed show off if we could as well. Maybe
Please.
if we could click into one of the records that you have that maybe has some demo data that you're comfortable with and click on to open up the conversation at the top. Yeah. And yeah. And my screen is freezing as you're doing that. I just wanted to make sure that people understand. I'll just talk through it since I can't see what's happening here with my internet. You have the ability under comments now to enable email activity. There you go. Click on settings that's there at the top. It's showing on my screen now. Yeah. And enable the email and then go back one screen that's here. So in this particular case, if you wanted to have a conversation, click on email at the top there under the tab then. So now you can have a conversation with somebody outside of SmartSuite. So in this particular case, it could be the candidate itself. And what we're releasing on either Friday or Monday is the ability to set up email templates that are here as well. So you could have templates set up for different types of communications with a candidate that you want to have directly. So you just pick the template, it fills in the information, you can edit that. But then what's interesting here is all your conversations with this candidate will be both here in inside the record, but it will also go into your inbox if you choose to copy yourself on this. But then any replies will also go back to your inbox and then directly back into the record itself. So it's one place where you could have all of your communications external with candidates or recruiters about a candidate here. And then under the comments feature, the comments feature is for people just inside of SmartSuite. So if you're having a conversation with people on your team about hiring this particular person, you can mention them, assign it as a task if you want them to follow up on something and such that's here. So there's just two levels of conversation I wanted you to know are available.
Thank you so much, John. Yeah, of course. I haven't tried this feature. I think it was released last week or something, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's about 3 weeks ago. It's still in alpha phase.
Yeah.
So we haven't done a big push with announcing to a lot of people just yet. It will move into beta next week. That's there once we add this last feature that's there. And then I just will mention one thing about it. We automatically create an email account for every person that signs up to your workspace. So you don't have to link their actual account behind the scenes. We do that for you. And then we just send that on that user's behalf, using, in this case, Mohamed's email address that he used for his account that's in there. So the user sees it. It comes from Mohamed. If they dig deep, it will have a direct link back to this record.
Awesome. What you're saying is that if the candidate, the reply is going to be here as well?
It will, yes.
Really? Awesome. That sounds amazing. So let's say that this is not a candidate and this is actually a client. And I'm talking about a project with this client. So I would be sending all my communication from here so that any email with regards to this project would be in one communication center.
Correct. Yes.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. I'm really sad that I haven't tried it yet. Sounds amazing.
Mohamed, maybe you'll come back and show us like the complete solution once you're done with building it out. It seems like you're building out Upwork, and I guess you'll start using emails to communicate back and forth.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe you'll build a client solution. You can communicate with clients back and forth.
It's in the making. It's in the making.
Okay, excellent. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can have you back to show us some of the more awesome stuff that you're building.
Would be my pleasure.
Okay, excellent. Well, folks, it's been amazing. Thank you, Mohamed, for showing us everything. Maybe Mohamed, maybe can you just share with the audience, where can folks find you if they want to engage your services to build out SmartSuite?
Of course, you can just visit my website if you would like, or I can share I think because we are switching the partnership program at the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Mohamed is listed as on our partner profile page. We're switching programs. We're going to have a new directory, but Mohamed will obviously be listed on the new one as well. You can also reach Mohamed at his website, GeekyAir.com. And as you can tell, Mohamed has vast knowledge working with SmartSuite and related products, and definitely reach out to Mohamed for SmartSuite needs and requirements. Thank you, Mohamed, for sharing this incredible solution. And thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Avi. It was my
Take care.
pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye.